one quick tangent I kind of want to go off on is the whole depends thing. Like, it is a very commonly used term. And I don't discredit it because it is true. But at some point, I think that you have to make things simple and boiled down to where it doesn't depend, you know? So there should be things that we commonly come back to and stand behind and believe in, that this is likely something that we're going to want to hit. Does it depend? Does it depend if we look at strength or not? No, we're probably going to look at strength. Does it depend or not if they have range of motion? No, probably not. So I think we should find some commonalities to where we can look at the system as a whole, and we can follow something reproducible, and then in turn that's also going to be teachable. Like, how are you going to teach things to lower level or people that are still learning a process if you say it depends? I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I think we should definitely take a stand and find common ground in making decisions for what a process is, and be able to explain it as well. So when it does come to someone else asking, like, hey, what did you do with them? Obviously you're going to have a reason, um, and maybe that reason is going to be more common than you think from person to person. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think it comes down to us. So if someone tells me it depends, I'm at a point now where I go on what, or I ask a little more questions just to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I think you also can tell how much a person knows by how well they can communicate the quote unquote, it depends.
Mm.
Everything does depend. Everyone is a different organism. And so everyone's going to respond well to different things. And depending on what you find on your evaluation, it's going to lead you down a different rabbit hole. And so I think that it depends basically stems from, I'm not going to say laziness, but in the fact of it does depend, like it always does, but sometimes how much time do you have? So it depends on, you got to start explaining why you would think this way and why it wouldn't in another scenario. So you could say like, I'm going to work on this pronator. Well, it depends. And it's like, okay, well, what does it depend on? And so it might be called for in patient A, but patient B, it might not be. And so I just think it's good, like on ourselves to catch ourselves. Like if we're saying the words, it depends, we should understand the other, like the other side of the coin of why we wouldn't use it, or what scenario would we not use it, or what scenario would.
It shouldn't just be a cop out answer.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. And so I think people who say it depends and can back it up, those people who understand it a little more, and everything does depend.
Mm.
And I think it comes down to, are we asking good enough questions? So if I ask you a question and you say it depends, then I didn't ask it well enough. I didn't give you enough details for you to answer that with a straight answer.
Depending on your question, though, if you're looking for an overall or overarching theme, you should sometimes be able to answer a question generally.
Yeah. And
And
so
then you can always dig in, but you should have that overarching, easy to communicate process, no matter what it is.
yeah, and it's just my assumption. Sometimes people feel like it makes them feel smarter by saying it depends
Mhm.
and not backing it up. So like if you were to ask me a question, I feel like I'm at a point now where I would say, if I did say it depends, I would follow it up with, and this is case A. I would try and explain myself
Mhm.
of when it would depend. Um, 'Cause stuff does depend, but I feel like that's just being a good clinician. That's just being a good problem solver, a good game of guess who, trying to figure out what it is and which pathway you should go.
Just comes down to paying attention to what you're doing, and then noticing that there are differences in how someone responds.